Lately, our lore explorations have led us into hallowed territory. We've discussed powerful figures in the lands between, like Sirash, the Cleanrot Knights, and Gideon Ofnir. With so many who shine brightly in the world of Elden Ring, it becomes easy to overlook the bit players we can meet along the way. One such character is a student of Raya Lucaria Academy. An academic who makes little impression, even talking himself down when we strike up a conversation with him. The sorcerer of little skill and no renown can come across as pitiful, but should we help him along his way, we see his strength laid not in battle prowess, but in arcane knowledge. Today, we're going to discuss Thops the Bluntstone. And while his story is short, it's worth exploring, as his personal brand of Glintstone sorcery is found nowhere else in the lands between. Before we get started, we want to thank you for joining us for today's Elden Lore. If you've been visiting our channel for lore dives or enjoy what you hear today, please consider subscribing. Our community continues to grow, and if you subscribe and hit the bell, you can be a member as well. We always look forward to reading the comments on each episode of Elden Lore, and we respond to as many as we can. Even if you don't want to subscribe, thanks anyway for taking the time to check out our content, and we hope you found something you liked among our various playlists. With that said, let's get back to the Bluntstone himself. We can first encounter Thops after making our way out of Stormvale Castle. As we see Liurnia stretched out before us, there's a large church nearby that feels inviting. As we make our way into the Church of Irith, we see a sacred tear and a man in blue robes taking in the serenity of this quiet place. Should we talk to him, he says.
Tarnished, aren't you? Then, perhaps you could spare some runes. Believe it or not, I studied Glintstone sorceries at the Academy of Raya Lucaria. For a small donation, I'd be happy to share my knowledge.
We are then prompted to give him a measly 10 runes, which he reacts to as if we've given him a much more significant amount.
Bless you, bless you. You're a true saint. My name is Thops. Presuming you're interested, I can teach you sorceries, as promised, only none of them are particularly great.
Thops offers a few simple sorceries: Glintstone Pebble, Glintstone Arc, and Starlight. These are incredibly basic spells, our first hint that Thops likely is not a powerful sorcerer. Whether or not we choose to buy any magic from him, he's apologetic for offering such meager spells and tells us about Liurnia, as thanks for offering him our runes. He tells us how the Academy of Raya Lucaria closed its doors during the Shattering, refusing to take place in the battle across the lands between. We also learn why Thops is not currently at the Academy himself.
Might have guessed. The seals are still active, making entry to the Academy impossible without a Glintstone key, and so I'm stuck here. A fledgling sorcerer with little chance of acquiring a key. When they cast the seals, I'd just popped out. And now I'm uprooted from my place of learning.
So given that we know the Shattering happened long ago, it seems likely Thops found his way here to the Church of Irith, and hasn't moved for an incredibly long time. If we try to bring a scroll to Thops in an effort to learn what lies within, he explains that he is only a Bluntstone. He doesn't even have a pebble's worth of power, so he's not going to be very helpful at deciphering our scroll. Apparently, a Bluntstone is a title given to those with no true prowess for Glintstone sorcery. Thops, though an academic with a sincere love for learning the truths of the world, does not have the innate skill to truly harness the power of the stars. But even so, he wants nothing more than to make his way back to the Academy to continue his work. In order to make our way to the Erdtree capital, we need to get through Raya Lucaria Academy, and our friend Thops knows how to get in. Should we discuss this with him, he says,
"Why not find yourself a Glintstone key? Without one, you can't pass through the Academy, and you'll never reach the Erdtree capital. And if you find an extra Glintstone key, perhaps, once you've tied up all your loose ends, and I can be very patient, would you consider donating it to me? I know it. I'm a Bluntstone. nary a hint of talent for sorcery. But still, my place is at the Academy.
Thops again tells us how he wants to return to the Academy, and should we find another Glintstone key while making our way through, we can make this dream a reality for him. After giving him a key of his own, he says,
Thank you dearly. With your blessing, I will depart for the Academy of Rea Lucaria. Or perhaps one day you'll pay me a visit? Who knows? I may be a decorated sorcerer by then.
Unfortunately for our friend, his return to Rea Lucaria Academy would be his undoing. We never get to speak to Thops again after providing him with his own Glintstone key. His corpse can be found outside of the schoolhouse classroom site of grace, along with a spell, Thops Barrier. This spell is the lifelong pursuit of Thops the Bluntstone, creates a magic force field that deflects sorceries and incantations, hold to continuously create barriers. Future generations will learn. They will know the foolishness of the sneering sorcerers who ridiculed this theory, little realizing that it was in fact a discovery worthy of a new conspectus of the Academy. It's at this point we are shown why Thops was so desperate to get back to the Academy. He had discovered something incredible. Thops Barrier is a spell unlike any other Glintstone sorcery. It outright reflects other Glintstone sorceries away from the caster, making it an incredibly powerful defensive move. This spell bathes the user in starlight, making it so that even a Bluntstone, with little power of their own, could face off against powerful sorcerers and survive. The notion that this form of Glintstone sorcery could create a new conspectus of the Academy is an interesting one, and may even relate back to Thops' death. We know that different areas of study related to the Academy tend to spring up from those who have witnessed a truth within the primeval current. Lusat and Azor were both sorcerers who saw into the deepest truths of the primeval current, and took back with them powerful sorceries that could change the way the Academy understands Glintstone. In order to do this, the sorcerers essentially became one with the Glintstone they studied, having it physically attached to their minds. If we consider that Thops had no true prowess for magic, but dedicated himself to its study regardless, perhaps this Bluntstone saw something others could not. In front of his body, we see bowls full of Glintstone. Maybe, just maybe, the reason we find Thops dead with this sorcery left behind is because he too glimpsed the current in a way others couldn't, and left behind a spell worthy of changing the way academics view the stars. Before sending Thops to the Academy, we're able to speak with him about Selen.
Taken an apprenticeship with Selen? Well, that is something. Selen was well known. The most promising sorceress in the history of the Academy. I followed her at school. But there may as well have been an ocean between us. But Selen was expelled from the Academy, accused of unthinkable treatment of certain sorcerers, under the name of the Graven Witch. I still don't believe the accusations. The illustrious Selen would never do such things.
He mentions he followed her at the Academy, possibly studying her work. Perhaps it was in following Selen that he started to develop his new form of sorcery, learning from her that the confines of the Academy's thinking should be expanded. This also opens up another possibility. Maybe it wasn't a coincidence that the gates of the Academy were sealed while Thops was away. If the sorcerers of Rea Lucaria saw Selen as a heretic, and knew of Thops' interest in her work and development of his own new theories and studies into Glintstone sorcery, perhaps they never wanted him back at the Academy. After all, they don't seem to do well with others challenging their understanding of the stars. Thops, a man who comes across as somewhat pitiful, living on the outskirts of Liurnia, hiding in the safe haven of a church, away from his place of study, could be easily disregarded as unworthy of our attention. Should you never bring him a Glintstone Academy key, his true genius is never revealed. While it unfortunately leads to the end of his life, With our help, Thops is able to achieve his ultimate goal, completing his life's work. It's unfortunate that this happens while the Lands Between is in such utter disarray. His findings will never be lauded for the outstanding discovery they truly are. It's up to us, as his friend and collaborator, to use his spell in his name and teach others the true genius of Thops, the Bluntstone. Or should we say, Master Thops. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Elden Lore. What do you think of Thops? Does his research give us a small glance at some hidden truth of Glintstone sorcery? How do you think he died, given that his body shows no sign of being attacked? Did Thops somehow see within the primeval current to create his unique sorcery? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to signal boost the channel, and make sure you receive notifications whenever a new episode goes live. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden Lore.